Welcome back to my channel, Pocket Change Coins. If you're excited about finding hidden gems in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we're going to uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're talking about is the 1971 D United States 1-cent coin, also known as the 1971 D Lincoln cent. This might seem like an ordinary penny that you could easily find in your pocket change, but there's a reason why it's caught the attention of collectors and numismatists all over the world. You might be thinking, it's just a penny, how could it possibly be worth a lot? Well, that's the beauty of coin collecting. Sometimes the most unexpected coins turn out to be the most valuable. The 1971 D penny is a perfect example of this. Though it's a common year for Lincoln cents, certain factors like its rarity, condition, and potential for minting errors can make it extremely valuable. First, let's talk about the history of the 1971 D penny. The D mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which is known for producing a significant number of coins during this era. The 1971 Lincoln cent, like others in the series, features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. These designs have been a hallmark of US coins for many years, with slight changes occurring over time, but the overall design remains consistent. But here's where it gets interesting. The 1971 D penny is notable for a few reasons. While most of the 1971 D pennies were produced in large quantities, making them relatively common, there are some that stand out from the rest. And these rare examples, often found in exceptional condition or with unique errors, are highly sought after by collectors. If you happen to come across one of these rare specimens, you could be holding onto a coin that's worth far more than its face value. The condition of a coin is crucial when it comes to determining its value. As you probably know, the more worn and damaged a coin is, the less valuable it typically becomes. That's why coins that are kept in pristine, uncirculated condition are so much more valuable. Coins from 1971 were used extensively in daily transactions, so it's difficult to find one that hasn't been worn down by time. However, if you manage to find a 1971 D penny that has been well preserved, you could have something truly special on your hands. One of the reasons why this penny can fetch a hefty price is because of the possibility of minting errors. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin production process. These can include things like double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, or other flaws that make the coin unique. These types of errors are highly sought after by collectors because they add a level of rarity and interest to a coin. A 1971 D penny with a noticeable minting error can be worth much more than a standard coin. For example, double die errors are one of the most common and desirable errors in the coin collecting world. If you're lucky enough to find a 1971 D penny with a double die error, you could be looking at a very valuable coin. A double die error occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the die, causing the design to appear doubled or slightly misaligned. These coins are often quite subtle, but they make a big difference when it comes to their value in the collector market. Another minting error that can add significant value to the 1971 D penny is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is struck incorrectly and the design is off-center, creating a unique and imperfect look. Coins with these types of flaws are considered errors and are often seen as more collectible because they're a rare glimpse into the minting process. When it comes to grading, a coin's value increases dramatically if it's in high grade. The Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, are the go-to services for coin grading, and if your 1971 D penny has been professionally graded as mint state, MS 65 or higher, then you could be in for a windfall. A high-grade coin, free from scratches, dings, or other imperfections, will fetch a much higher price than a coin that shows signs of heavy circulation. So, just how much could a 1971 D 1-cent coin be worth? If you happen to have one of these pennies in excellent condition, or if it has a rare minting error, the price could be astounding. A 1971 D penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, or one with a noticeable minting error, has been known to sell for as much as $80,000. Yes, you heard that right, $80,000 for a single penny. That's an incredible amount of money for a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent. This is a perfect example of why coin collecting can be so exciting and rewarding. A simple penny from 1971, when well preserved or featuring a rare minting error, could be a game changer for your collection or even your financial situation. If you have a collection of old pennies or come across a 1971 VDB penny in your spare change, make sure to take a closer look at it. Check the condition, look for any signs of minting errors, and consider getting it professionally graded to determine its true value. Even the most common-looking coins can turn out to be valuable treasures. Second rare coin, we have a truly fascinating topic to discuss: the 1966 United States 1-cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln cent. If you're someone who enjoys scouring through your spare change or you're an experienced numismatist, this video will surely grab your attention. While the 1966 penny might seem like just another coin you can find in circulation, there's much more to this piece of history than meets the eye. For those in the know, the 1966 penny is a coin that could potentially be worth far more than its face value. So, stick around, because we're about to uncover the incredible value of this seemingly simple 1-cent coin. First, let's take a quick look at the history of the 1966 Lincoln cent. This was a time of change in the United States, with the country in the midst of significant political and social upheaval. The 1960s were a period of transformation, and the coinage of that time reflected the evolving nation. The Lincoln cent, in particular, has a rich history and has been in circulation for well over a century, having been first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The 1966 coin itself features the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse side, we see the iconic image of the Lincoln Memorial, which was introduced in 1959. However, there's something particularly special about the 1966 version of this coin. Though it was produced in significant numbers, certain conditions and rare minting errors make it a coveted piece for collectors today. So, why does the 1966 penny have such appeal for collectors? The truth is, even though millions of these pennies were produced, the 1966 coin stands out due to its rarity in high grades and specific error varieties. Most coins from this era were used heavily in circulation and were quickly worn down by daily handling. Coins that survived in uncirculated or near-perfect condition are quite rare, and that's where the value lies. A well-preserved 1966 penny is a true treasure to any serious coin collector, but there's another factor that can drive the value of the 1966 penny even higher: minting errors. Minting errors are what make certain coins exceptionally rare and valuable. During the minting process, something can go wrong, whether it's a misalignment of the dies, an off-center strike, or a double die, among other issues. These errors are not only interesting to collectors, but they also make the coin incredibly unique and desirable. One of the most well-known errors associated with the 1966 Lincoln cent is the double die error, where the design appears doubled, especially on the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. This happens when the die strikes the coin multiple times, causing the image to appear faintly twice. This error is particularly noticeable on the Liberty inscription, where you'll see a slight duplication of the letters. Double die coins are rare, and collectors are always on the lookout for them, as they can fetch much higher prices than a regular coin. Another error that can add to the value of the 1966 penny is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not perfectly aligned with the die during the minting process, resulting in a portion of the design being cut off or missing. This type of error gives the coin a unique, asymmetric appearance that makes it stand out from the rest. Coins with off-center strikes are highly collectible, and if you happen to find one of these rare pieces, it could increase the coin's value dramatically. The condition of the coin is another key factor when determining its value. Coins that are graded MS-65 or higher, mint state, are worth much more than those that have been heavily circulated and worn down over time. If you find a 1966 penny in mint state condition, it could easily be worth several $100s, depending on its rarity and the presence of any minting errors. However, as is the case with many coins, the rarity and condition combined can push the value into an entirely different league. Now, here's where the excitement kicks in. While most of the 1966 pennies are worth only a few cents, there are some that have been known to fetch huge amounts at auctions or through private sales. For a 1966 penny in mint state condition or with a significant minting error, the value can be mind-blowing. If you happen to have a 1966 Lincoln cent with a double die or off-center error, or if it's in impeccable condition, it could be worth as much as $100,000. That's right, $100,000 for a single penny. It's incredible, isn't it? What might seem like an ordinary coin could potentially turn out to be an extraordinary find. This is a perfect example of why coin collecting is so exciting and rewarding. The next time you come across a 1966 Lincoln cent in your collection or in your pocket change, take a moment to really examine it. You might just be holding onto a rare and valuable piece of U.S. history. Third expensive coin, we're going to dive into a coin that you might find in your pocket change, the 1973 United States 1-cent coin, also known as the 1973 Lincoln cent. This coin might seem like just another penny at first glance, but it holds a fascinating story and can be worth far more than its face value, especially for collectors who know what to look for. Now, before we get into the specifics of the 1973 penny, let's take a quick look at the background of the Lincoln cent series. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it features a portrait of the 16th President of the United States on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that was introduced in 1959. Since then, this coin has been in continuous production, with various modifications and changes over the years. The 1973 coin, struck at the Denver Mint, denoted by the D mint mark, is part of the series that represents the early 1970s era. You might be wondering, what makes the 1973 Lincoln cent so special? The answer lies in a few key factors, such as its rarity in high grades, its potential for minting errors, and the ever-growing appeal of well-preserved coins in the collecting community. As you might imagine, pennies from this era were produced in high quantities and spent many years circulating, which means that finding one in mint condition can be quite rare. However, it's the high-grade specimens that can command incredible prices from collectors who are eager to find well-preserved examples from the era, but it's not just about condition. Let's talk about minting errors, because this is where things get truly exciting. During the minting process, things don't always go according to plan, and sometimes, coins are struck with flaws or imperfections. These errors are highly sought after by collectors because they make the coin unique and increase its desirability. Minting errors can take various forms, from double dies to off-center strikes to die cracks, and each of these errors brings a distinct value to the coin. One of the most common errors collectors look for in the 1973 penny is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck twice by the die, causing the image to appear slightly doubled, especially in the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. If you happen to find a 1973 penny with this error, it could be worth a lot more than a standard 1-cent coin. Double die coins are considered rare, and finding one in good condition makes it even more valuable. Another error that makes the 1973 penny worth considering is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, resulting in a portion of the design being missing or off-center. These coins are particularly intriguing because they showcase the imperfections of the minting process. Off-center strike coins are highly collectible and can often fetch much higher prices than regular, unblemished pennies. In addition to minting errors, the overall condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its value. As with most coins, the higher the grade, the higher the price. Coins that are graded MS-65 or above, mint state, are highly prized by collectors, as they show minimal wear and have preserved details. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. And, unlike coins that were heavily circulated and showed signs of heavy wear, a well-preserved 1973 penny can command serious attention from coin dealers and collectors alike. Let's take a moment to talk about how grading works, as it can significantly affect the value of your 1973 penny. If your coin is in near-perfect condition with sharp details, a lustrous shine, and no visible scratches or dings, it could be graded as MS-65 or higher, which significantly boosts its value. On the other hand, if your coin has been worn down due to years of circulation, it will likely fall into a lower grade, and its value will be much less. Now, what about the actual value of the 1973 VDB Penny? When most people look at a coin like this, they assume it's worth just 1 cent. However, as we've mentioned, the value of this coin can vary greatly depending on factors like its condition and whether it has any minting errors. In particular, a 1973 VDB Penny that's in mint state or features a rare minting error can be worth a lot more than you might expect. In fact, some 1973 VDB pennies have sold for impressive prices, and the most exceptional specimens can fetch up to $66,000. Yes, you heard that right, $66,000 for a single 1973 VDB penny. It might sound unbelievable, but this is the potential value for a coin in pristine condition or one with a rare minting error. For collectors, these coins are more than just currency, they're part of a living history and a piece of American numismatic culture. Coins like the 1973 VDB Lincoln cent can tell us so much about the era in which they were minted and the processes involved in creating them. If you happen to have a collection of older pennies or you find a 1973 VDB penny in your change, take a moment to carefully examine it. Look for any minting errors, inspect its condition, and consider getting it graded by a professional numismatic organization. You just might have a rare find on your hands, and it could turn out to be worth a significant amount more than you ever imagined. So, whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just getting started, keep an eye out for those hidden gems. The next time you come across a 1973 VDB penny, take a closer look, it could be worth more than its face value. And who knows, you might just have a coin in your collection that could be worth $66,000. Especially, we have something really special to talk about, a coin that might be sitting in your change right now, the 1978 United States 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln cent. This penny might seem like a simple, everyday coin, but for those who know what to look for, it has the potential to be worth far more than its face value. In fact, if you have the right 1978 penny in your collection, you could be holding on to a small fortune. The Lincoln cent has a long and rich history, dating all the way back to 1909 when it was first introduced to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin features a portrait of the 16th president on the obverse and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Over the years, this coin has gone through several design changes and variations, and the 1978 penny is no exception. Struck during the later years of the 20th century, it represents an era of economic change and innovation in the United States. But what makes this specific year so interesting? At first glance, the 1978 penny may not stand out much, but there are several factors that can make it incredibly valuable. First and foremost, the condition of the coin is crucial. Most coins that were minted in 1978 circulated for many years, which means they were exposed to wear and tear. However, coins that survived in exceptional condition are highly sought after by collectors. It's not every day you find a coin from 1978 that still retains sharp details, a clean surface, and a luster that makes it look almost new. That's where the value lies. A well-preserved 1978 penny is a rarity, and collectors will pay top dollar for one. But condition is just one part of the story. There's also the potential for minting errors. These are the types of imperfections that occur during the manufacturing process, and they can make a coin significantly more valuable. Minting errors can vary from something as small as a misplaced die mark to something more dramatic like a double strike or an off-center impression. Error coins are extremely desirable because they are so rare and unique. If you happen to have a 1978 penny with a minting error, it could turn out to be worth far more than you'd expect. One of the most sought-after errors in the 1978 Lincoln cent series is the double die error. This occurs when the coin's design is struck more than once, causing parts of the design to appear doubled, especially in areas like the date or the inscriptions. If you spot a 1978 penny with a double die, it's a big deal. Coins like these are much more valuable because they represent a mistake in the minting process, and collectors love to get their hands on them. Even small details, like a doubled Liberty or In God We Trust on the obverse, can make a world of difference in the value of the coin. Another minting error that collectors look for is the off-center strike, which happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process. The result is a coin with a portion of the design missing, making it visually unique. Off-center strike coins are highly collectible, and finding a 1978 penny with this kind of error can lead to a substantial increase in its value. Of course, not every 1978 penny will have a minting error or be in perfect condition. However, it's important to keep in mind that grading plays a massive role in the value of any coin. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers indicating better condition. A coin graded MS-65 or higher, mint state, is considered to be in excellent condition, and these coins can fetch much higher prices than those that have been heavily worn. Now, let's talk about how the value of the 1978 penny stacks up. While most of these coins are worth only their face value of 1 cent, high-grade specimens and error coins are where things get interesting. If you happen to come across a 1978 penny in mint condition or one that features a rare minting error, you could be looking at a much higher value. In fact, the rarest examples of these coins have been known to sell for $50,000. Yes, you read that correctly. A single 1978 penny could be worth as much as $50,000 if it's in exceptional condition or has an extraordinary minting error. It's amazing to think that a coin that's just a few decades old could be worth so much. Of course, the chances of finding one of these rare and valuable 1978 pennies are slim, but that's what makes coin collecting so exciting. You never know when you might stumble upon a hidden gem that could change your life. So, how do you know if your 1978 penny is worth something significant? First, check the condition of the coin. If it's in uncirculated or near perfect condition, you may already have a valuable piece in your hands. Then, take a closer look at the design. Does the coin have any minting errors, like a double die or an off-center strike? If you notice something unusual, it could be time to have the coin professionally graded and appraised. As we wrap up, remember that coin collecting is all about discovery. The beauty of coins is that they can carry hidden value, even when they look ordinary at first glance. So, the next time you come across a 1978 penny, take a moment to really look it over. You might just have a $50,000 coin sitting right in front of you. Last unique coin, we're diving into a coin that might be hiding in your change right now, the 1981 United States 1-cent coin. Yes, it's a simple penny, but don't let its small size fool you. This unassuming coin can be worth a lot more than you think, especially if you know what to look for. So, let's take a closer look at the 1981 penny and see why it has become a favorite among collectors and investors alike. First, let's go back in time. The 1981 Lincoln cent is part of the iconic Lincoln cent series, which was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. This series is one of the longest running in U.S. coinage history, and it continues to be a staple in American currency. Over the years, there have been several design changes to the Lincoln cent, but the 1981 penny still carries the classic elements that collectors love: President Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the famous Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The design itself might not have changed much in 1981, but what really makes this coin stand out is its rarity and unique qualities. Now, you might be asking yourself, what makes a 1981 penny worth so much more than its face value? Great question. Well, just like with any collectible coin, the condition is key. The 1981 penny, minted at the Denver Mint, was made in large quantities, but over the years, many of them have become worn and damaged due to constant circulation. Most 1981 pennies that you come across today are in poor condition, which means their value is only worth 1 cent. However, there are some rare exceptions, and these are the coins that collectors pay top dollar for. The coins that stand out are those that have survived in exceptional condition, known as uncirculated coins. These coins have avoided damage from wear and tear, and their features remain sharp, crisp, and almost as fresh as the day they were minted. An uncirculated 1981 penny is considered a gem because it's relatively hard to find. Due to the large number of pennies that were minted in 1981, most of them became worn out from constant circulation. So if you've got a well-preserved 1981 D penny, it might just be worth a small fortune, but condition isn't the only thing that can affect the value of a coin. There's also the possibility of minting errors, which can make a coin significantly more valuable. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the manufacturing process, and they can make a coin much more interesting and rare. In the case of the 1981 D penny, some of the most coveted errors are double die errors, where part of the design, especially the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust, is doubled. If you find a 1981 D penny with this kind of error, you found a true treasure. Double die coins are among the most popular types of error coins and can fetch a much higher price on the collector's market. Another potential error that collectors look for in the 1981 D penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not perfectly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off. These off-center strikes are highly collectible because they are visually striking and unique, and they are much rarer than regular, perfectly minted coins. If you have a 1981 D penny with an off-center strike, it could dramatically increase the value of your coin, but what about the grade of the coin? As with any collectible item, the grade is crucial in determining how much it is worth. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher grades indicating better condition. A coin that is graded MS 65 or above is considered to be in excellent condition, and these high-grade specimens are the ones that attract the most attention from collectors. The better the condition, the more valuable the coin. So, if you have a 1981 D penny that's graded MS 65 or higher, you could be sitting on something truly valuable. You may be wondering, what kind of price are we talking about here? Well, the answer depends on the condition and whether the coin has any minting errors. A normal, circulated 1981 D penny is worth just its face value of 1 cent, but when it comes to those pristine, uncirculated coins or error coins, the value can skyrocket. For example, if you happen to have a high-grade 1981 D penny, you could be looking at a price tag that is way above face value. In fact, an uncirculated 1981 D penny or one with a rare minting error could be worth as much as $44,000. Yes, you heard that right, $44,000 for a single 1981 D penny. It may seem incredible, but that's the kind of value some collectors are willing to pay for a perfect condition 1981 D penny or one with a rare minting error. This is what makes coin collecting so exciting. You never know when you might find a coin in your pocket change that could turn out to be worth thousands of dollars. So, if you've got a 1978 D penny sitting in your collection, it's time to take a closer look. Inspect it carefully for any signs of wear, minting errors, or special features that might set it apart from the rest. If you're lucky enough to have a rare, high-grade 1981 D penny or one with an interesting minting error, you could be holding a coin worth $44,000. Coin collecting is an exciting hobby that brings with it the possibility of uncovering hidden treasures. So, the next time you find a 1981 D penny in your change, remember that it could be worth much more than just 1 cent. Keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, you might just stumble upon the next big find. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this content and want to learn more about valuable coins, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you never miss any exciting discoveries. Keep hunting for treasures, and happy collecting.